Great. Once again, a very good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining, and thank you, Catherine, for this opportunity. My name is G3 Gayatri. I'm from uLaw's Client Success team. I'm always been doing these webinars with Durham College, and this probably are my third or fourth year. And know many students have sat on this program, sat on this class, this webinar. In fact, we have few people turning into solo practitioners or paralegals, and they've signed up with uLaw. That's had few months, and it'll be an honor to have you all on board someday. And here we are going to discuss a few important things about practice management. This is actually a CPD topic that we generally give out probably a 90-minute CPD credit for people who attend it, and mostly for legal professionals to maintain their CPD hours. This is a very niche topic that covers several aspects of a legal professional. Right from the time you onboard a client to servicing them, to communicating with them, to managing the file, finances, plus general business, overall expenses. Maybe a little bit of professional and time management, personal time too. Talking about client intake service communication. This is a presentation that runs along with uLaw. On the other side, we will be showcasing uLaw platform to show you how everything works and how all of this is done. Totally using just uLawPractice. You don't have to worry about building a single document yourself or even going out of the software to download things and do yourself. Like there's no DIY required here as long as you're happy to use what we provide. And those are any document that you see on the program is we are an approved software. Hi, sorry, can you hear me? I think my AirPod's not working. Sorry about that. Just give me a second. That's quite a bad timing. For some reason, it's not syncing up. Give me a second. Okay, might have to go on the speaker. I'll try to be as loud as possible. So for the ones who are not able to hear me well, I would request you to turn on phone audio instead of computer audio for better audio quality. All right, so I was talking about how uLaw helps people right from day one of their intake of their clients to servicing them, talking about client intake forms, client portals that would allow you to intake clients, their data, their information, smoothly run the conflict checks. We have automated conflict checks now, which will allow you to run the conflict check as soon as a file intake is completed. And that automatic trigger really helps one to make sure they're basic compliant with Law Society. So Law Society says that when you onboard a client, you are required to complete their conflict check, and that too, if you're onboarding them online, you need to complete their virtual verifications. You need to do their client ID verifications, the multiple things. The software enables you to do all of this within the software itself, right? And this is where we get started off with determining whether this client needs to be sent a retainer letter. Do they have to sign up using a form, or do you intend to service them, collect the payment later, which is mostly by submitting an invoice, and understanding what are the requirements, understanding what your client's preferences are, understanding whether these has to be included in your retainer agreement, making sure, or an engagement letter, making sure everything discussed during the initial client meeting is recorded. All the consultations are recorded. All the confidential information is kept confidential. Make sure that conflict checks are done. All the fees are determined. Retainers collected, no retainers, then kickstart the work, invoices raised, payments collected into the general account. If retainers being collected, making sure that we have a trust account in place. And that will allow you to add in all the information under the respective bank accounts. Now, very similar to that, we have something called as non-engagement letter. Only thing is that when an engagement letter is produced, you will decide whether there's a retainer to be collected or not and add in such details into the agreement. And when you are not collecting a retainer, then ensuring that there's a clause that says upon submission of invoice, payment to be remitted into general account. Sometimes people miss out on these things where the communication with your client is really important. And you choose a method of communication and you stick to it and make sure that you also let them know on your retainer letter that this is your preferred method of communication. So if you look at the retainer letter, it's a little exhaustive, but at the same time, you want to keep it concise to the point. I know it's contradictory, but what I mean to say is you need to ensure that all the points are covered, but it can be like paragraphs with 2 lines, 3 lines, but not pages. But at the same time, because nobody has the time and patience to read like 10 pages booklet or something. You want to keep it like the entire agreements, maybe within 2 to 3 pages, then it's reasonable. It's not too boring, but at the same time concise and making sure everything that you need to communicate to the client, this is your first piece of agreement. This is probably your last piece of agreement too, because everything that follows after that is like invoices, receipts, journals, ledgers, statement of activities. All of them are statements. Nothing like a contract that binds you and your client, which is the retainer agreement. So spend time or use the software's retainer agreement. Go through it. If you need to use a Word format to tweak it a bit, go for it. You have that option. You might as well use it if you want to. Or if you're satisfied with what we have, just send it out. Make sure that you have followed everything written in there. That's more important. Not just handing over an agreement, but ensuring that both you and your client fulfills the details in it, ensuring that all your responsibilities, your client's responsibilities, the method of communication. So even the retainer arrangements, some people like to get the entire lump sum amount upfront. Some people like a small portion, then get a replenishment, and then you have made an arrangement. So you know that every 10 days or 15 days once the replenishment needs to come in. So you will accordingly plan your retainer agreement. So like I said, retainer agreement is one of the most important documents that will suffice the entire matter management. And considering that your matter management starts off with file management. File management, matter management is all very similar. File matter, it's more like a synonym, making sure that you have your own file checklist or you adopt whatever is provided in the software. Then when you have the conflict check done, you file them. You will have the separate files for each of the file. In the sense, the same client could have multiple matters. There could be a same client who comes to you for a traffic ticket. The same client could come to you for a small claims matter. The same client could come to you for a LTB matter. But you wouldn't continue opening the same client. You wouldn't add them as you wouldn't be adding them 3 different times. What I mean to say is it's the same client's information that will be in the database. All that you require to do is open separate file for each and every respective matter that they reach out to you for. So you just continue opening new matters, but then everything else remains the same for this client, making sure the cross-indexing happens, you have a unique file numbering system, or obviously you adopt what is provided in the software. Um, these are some things that are very basic. And once you establish this system into your system, like maybe this method into your system, it will really work well for all your subsequent files and clients and matters, so on. Now, I mean, I'm definitely keen on showcasing all this in uLaw. Just bear with me for like maybe 10 minutes, and then I'll walk you through an entire matter, client creation, documentations, compliances that comes along with it in uLaw. Now, about the financial management part. Now, while you are creating your retainer agreement, while you're intaking your client, you would have decided the hourly rate or the style of billing, flat rate, or you're going to do pro bono for some hours. It depends, right? So whichever is your preference, you would have to adopt. You'll have to make sure that you are entering them into the respective matter, the rates per hour or the billable time that you've scheduled, flat rates, if anything, and then accordingly raise an invoice, do a pre-bill, make sure that everything is intact. So just bear with me for a moment. I think viewer number 24 is not able to hear us, or rather not able to hear me. Okay. I'm not sure who this viewer number 24 is. Catherine, if you're able to reach out to the student. I think they're not able to hear me. Okay, I'm just going to share the details with them. Either they can call this number or use the phone audio. Okay. Unfortunately, they've tried turning on the computer audio, but it's not working. Let's see if the phone audio works for them. I hope it works. Yeah, try calling in, please. That will help. I've given them the details, the phone and the conference ID. All right. Now coming back to financial management, one important thing is when you have money sitting in trust, let's say you have kickstarted the work, you're working on drafting, or you're working on hearing, you're working on filing fee or something that you need to charge as disbursement, whatever it is that you need to remove from the trust. Of course, if you're paying any kind of government fee or court fee or filing fee, you can directly remove the money from trust and make the payment. But let's say you're trying to do some admin charges, photocopies, or any of that sort where you might have a profit motive, then we say that you need to add it as a disbursement being paid out of general, then pay yourself, for which obviously you have to raise an invoice. So prompt transmission and delivery of invoice to the client within a specified time, which means before you remove the money from trust to be general, pay yourself, you need to raise an invoice, make sure that it's delivered to the client, and then remove the money from trust account, put it into your general account. And then further, if you need to pay yourself, you're going to pay yourself. So this will allow to track all your payments, any overpayments, any underpayments, anything that you have excess transfer, then you have to put it back into the trust account. So all sort of things, but the system will track down all the information if you have promptly entered it into the system. Like, you have a retainer coming in, you enter the retainer, then you add the disbursements, whether it's paid directly out of trust or out of general, appropriately add them in. Then you add in all your trust deposits, withdrawals, trust transfers, and then you know the net balance in your trust. And then if there's any accounts receivable in your general, it'll show you whether the client owes you more money, then you can directly get it into the general account or into the trust. Then again, move it from trust to the general. The very basic concept that I always tell my clients is to ensure that you get the money into your trust account. If you have to move the money from trust to the general, there has to be an invoice showing the amount is due into your general account. The AR has to be created, accounts receivable, into your general account, so that money can be moved either from trust to the general or directly received into the general. Now, once you have that, you're going to be able to make sure your general account, ledgers, journals, deposit slips, fee books, expense book, everything is up to date, and you're able to prepare your financial statements monthly, quarterly, annual, understand the budget to gauge your firm's health. And on the other hand, it's also important that you do this to maintain original bank statements, books, cancelled checks. And these are important, especially at the time of audit. Now, let's say we have the financial management under the review. You have a spot audit, you have your monthly reconciliations, or you have your practice review audit, whatever it is. Now, these are some documents that are readily available in the software, provided whatever information that we discussed in the last few minutes, you're able to input them from time to time, and you're able to generate these documents with appropriate information in it. Let's say if it's ledger or journals or disbursement journals, receipt journal, you have the information that pertains to that particular matter, client, and you have all of the details entered in there. So this is probably why I always recommend my clients to even enter smallest of the details, such as payment receipt number or the transaction receipt number or received from details, all of those. Because they have respective, if I could say, fields in the statement. So when you generate the statement, it will actually show you that these are the documents that needs, these are the fields that goes into the respective documents. So when you look at the ledger, you know that, okay, this is where it comes from. This is where you need to add in the details. Now, that's what a journal or ledger should be carrying. You can still generate a journal, ledger, any of those any of those compliance documents without such details being filled in, like, let's say received from is not entered or you don't have a payment reference number. You can still go ahead and generate those documents. It's only thing is that I'll show you the difference when I'm doing it on uLaw. Only thing is that you will not be able to showcase the exact information. You will not be able to show a complete information, if I could put it that way. So that's about financial management. I'll definitely walk you through whatever we discussed. About business management, I'm definitely going to skim through this part. But what are the importance when it comes to business management, personal management, time management? A software enables you to definitely make things seem simpler. Like, you can work from anywhere. You can have your client information, your banking information, your accounting, your files, everything in one place, and you can log in from anywhere. Let's say you have it on your desktop, but you're at home, you're not able to log in to your server. Nothing. No. You have no such issues when you're on a cloud-based software like ours. So it is very simple. It's very straightforward. You'll be able to do it from anywhere at any time. All that you're looking for, obviously, is ensuring that you're doing this from time to time, and you are using a software which is secured, which has this robust security devices, and you're able to access emails, you're able to access voice messages, but ensure that your phone is connected. You have your um, phone that is also again secured. You have the backups that are being done every week, every month. You have a regular interval that you've set up for your backups, or you use a software that will allow you to, do regular backups at their end, right? You don't have to worry. Let's say they do it every now and then, and in case you need it, you can always reach out to the software team and let them know that you're in need of this particular backup for this particular date, this particular time of the year or something. Now, considering that business management, personal management, professional management, these are very straightforward. As you all know, that once you become a legal professional, so you licensed paralegal, you will have to ensure that you complete certain CPD hours. Your memberships are due every now and then, making sure that you follow up and you're on top of it, ensuring that your case law studies, new legislations, you're again on top of them, your professional conduct guidelines, you're aware of everything. If I could say personal management, time management, and professional management, these are three things that are, and business management, of course, four things. These are interlinked. End of the day, you know that it is you who manages your time, your business time, your personal time, your professional time. So you might as well give it all in, but at the same time, like they say, you can't pour from an empty cup. So people make sure, the Law Society wants to make sure you're having a balanced life, like, your personal, your professional, your business life, everything being balanced out. So they say use to-do lists, you use calendars. Now calendars, they're advanced with using software. They say that you can integrate your Google Calendar with uLawPractice, and you can have one calendar that will show all your personal, your work-related, your client-related stuff in one go. So that will be helpful for you to organize yourself, your upcoming meetings, and you know where you stand. That it's really important. You get to view your daily, weekly, monthly agenda, and like making your life seem much simpler, but at the same time, you don't have any big surprises. You're well planned. I think it's really important for someone who runs a business or a firm or a practice to be on top of everything. So, synchronized calendar using the software, ensuring that most of your stuff is built in, like your logos, your letterheads, your client information, your matter details, your invoices, your payments, your trust general up-to-date reconciled, your journals, ledgers, disbursements, know your numbers, everything under one roof. That's what we need. And of course, if you're a paralegal, you're more prone to making your own code forms, but sometimes you can also use the automation. In uLaw, you have automated code forms that will help you to, basically simplify the entire process and give you what you just need. And just download it and move on with your other matters. So if I could pause for a minute to see if any of you have any questions and then quickly move on to uLaw. I want to showcase this in the next 30 minutes or 20 minutes and then keep the last 5-10 minutes for question answers. But in the meantime, I would encourage you to start using the chat window if you're looking for anything specific. Catherine, specifically you, I hope everything is good so far. I just wanted to take some time to brief them all about everything practice management. What are their responsibilities? What are the professional obligations that one has to maintain and how do they achieve it. Now, I'm going to use uLaw to show you all how this is done. Very simple, straightforward, right from the time you intake a client using Contact Client Portal or a simple paper pen method, or you use an intake form from the program. There are several methods in which you could intake a client. You first get yourself, equipped with whichever method that you intend to use. If you're using a paper pen, you simply click on Add New Client and manually enter the data. Or if you're using a client intake form, you go into document generation, download the client intake, send it to them via email, ask them to fill it out, and then send it back to you via email. Once they send it back to you, you can validate it and simply come into Import Contact and upload the client intake form, so you'll see all their information pointed out here. A little bit more advanced version is this client portal right here, which is my favorite method to, if I could say, intake a client. All that you are doing here is simply adding in your client's email ID. In fact, someone who came from Durham College last week, I did their webinar, a demo with them yesterday, and they were not aware of this particular feature, so I thought I will actually show all of you today. It's a really nice feature that will allow you to intake the client, make sure their email ID is good, then the secret key, and then you have several options. You don't want to send them an email? Okay, no problem. Just generate the link and then copy paste it in your template and send it out to them. No, you'd like to email your client only? Go ahead. Or email only yourself. You can still play with it and then send an email by yourself. That is okay too. I always like this option, which is email client and myself. So I have a copy for myself and I send the email. I know how it looks at my end, so this is what the client has probably received. So all that you're going to do is simply click on Welcome to our firm. This is what your client would have received. Now your client is going to click here and start entering information. Now these are some things today. Let's say we don't have much time. We're running short of time. We don't have resources. We are solo. We don't have admin. We don't have help. People like them utilize this. Send it over to your client. Your work stops right there. My work, let's say if it was me who's doing this, I sent my client this link. I just closed it and I just moved on to something else. I was probably working on a blog, or I was working on my other upcoming drafting, whatever, right? Any other client work, anything else. Nothing, just go sip a coffee and you don't even have to think about work. And then when you receive the email, you'll get a pop-up from uLawPractice saying that your client has completed this. So that's when you know that this particular client has reached out to you, their phone number, let's say the matter information, traffic ticket. How did you hear about it? Through a friend. I better give you my driver's license. Now, obviously, this is considered as online intake, and that you're required to do it online. Of course, send a client intake form, and then once they submit it, you are required to do the virtual verification because you've completed the intake online. So you're virtually intaken the client or virtually completed the intake. So you're required to then do the virtual verification, client ID verification. Again, uLaw will help you to do that. In this case, you have an email from us saying that, hey, this registration is complete, here is the contact information, and so on. So now once they come back, you can then go back into uLaw since uLaw was open, I would refresh it by clicking on contacts. It reloads. I think there's, oh, okay. So apparently there's two clients with same name. Apologize. Let me just change it here. Okay, save it. Now I want to just make sure that I do the conflict check as part of the first thing. So how can you do the conflict check? You can either click on action right above the name, do the conflict check, or you can simply click on document generation. You know, conflict check is a compliance. So right under compliance, you have the conflict check. And I always prefer clicking on action. Okay, that's nice. Nice to know your 24 can finally hear us. Don't worry, the session is being recorded, so I'll be sharing the recording link with Miss Catherine, and she will give it to you all. Yeah, so we have the conflict check happening in the background. While that happens, we can go ahead. Okay, we have it here. So we have all the first name conflicts, right? You know, Ken is the first name. So wherever you see Ken, the first name partially appearing, and then we have the last name, that is George, partially or completely appearing. And then we have client's first last name, and then client's last first name, and then we have similar sounding names. We have events, matters, wherever you have this name appearing, showing up in the conflict check, thoroughly done all across the program, right? And then you have this done. The next step that you want to do is obviously virtually verify your client. We have a small rate card here. You can click on it to see what are the rates for every client you would like to do a driver's license validation, SIN validation, facial accreditation, so on. So facial accreditation is automatic if you have turned it on automatic under the settings. If not, then you'll have to make sure that it is updated over here. And then you also have to ensure your source of contact is also entered here, and your virtual verification. Otherwise, you want to check the status, you can click on action and check the virtual verification status over here as well. Now, let's say I want to open the file just to save the time. You can say traffic ticket or red light camera, whatever is the reason. Okay, we have our other page too. Save it. Now, if you have the details of your client, you want to share the retainer letter, the very first thing you want to do is to collect the retainer. You can go into the compliance tab. Say if you want to look at the word or something, you can do that as well. Now, it's not picking up the logo and letterhead, but let's say if yours gets downloaded, it will come up with your own letterhead and logo. And if you have the payment integration, your client can always click on credit card option and make payment using the credit card too. Let's say they just chose the email transfer option. You can click on retainer. So when you collect retainer, you want to enter it into the program immediately to make sure that you're up to date. You want to either click on disbursements retainer, click on new retainer, or you can click on trust because you know retainer goes into your trust and then you know it's a deposit. So you can click on new retainer from here as well. Or if you're very familiarized with the program, you can click on action. Let's say you won't get confused with too many options here. You can still look through it and find out new retainer here as well. Honestly, my top favorite is by clicking on trust, deposit and trust, because it's straightforward, even though it includes one additional step. It's like, you know, retainer goes into your trust. So you click on trust, then it's a deposit, then it's a new retainer. Then you enter in the amount, the date on which they paid you, the reference numbers, method of payments. This is what I was talking about in one of the slides, saying how important it is to complete the information, right? I can still leave this field. This is a mandatory field. I can still leave this field, but when I generate a receipt or a journal or a ledger, then this particular field received from will show empty in there. So it's equivalent to an incomplete transaction. So I always recommend my clients to ensure that it's up to date, you have everything entered in, and so far from there. Now we have the retainer receipt. You can just download. Okay, that's how it looks. Then you go back. The very first thing you would do is, let's say you have a billable time, you took client intake, the meeting was like about an hour, you discounted the first 30 minutes, so you did a 0030. Now, the next step, of course, you can use the description and all that. Okay, let's say we have another one, or this time you took about an hour and 30 minutes, or an hour 6 minutes. You would just say order fill billable. Next time you want to do a flat rate, you want to do a combination of billing. Let's say this took about 2 hours, but you're charging them a flat rate issue of 500. You're doing a $350 plus taxes. Safe. Okay. We have the invoice to be generated. Before I raise the invoice, let me show you all the disbursements. Let's say you're doing a new disbursement paid from trust, because you of course have money sitting in trust, straightforward. But remember, you can do only the ones that are like fee, anything that is not marked up, no profit motive, right? So let's say you do the certified check or bank draft, say filing fee, paid to courthouse. You can also print a check, by the way, if you're doing a check. Let's say you can also do it tomorrow. Okay. Now you can also download the check. Let's say now you want to do a new disbursement from general account. This is something to do with admin charges, photocopies, whatever. You're charging your client with $40 plus taxes, but you got probably maybe you used a library printer or something, and then you got charged so much. Or let's say when you have your own printer, it's just zero. You didn't spend anything. Of course, you spent on ink, paper, all those goes under, your office expenses. It doesn't come under your client expenses or disbursements. So let's say just for the sake of it, I want to show how it looks under the report expense column. I want to do this paid to maybe UPS. You use the printer there. used your debit card. Like I said, I know it's the smallest of the information. Sometimes it's not mandatory, but it won't hurt you with adding one additional field with information in there. Okay. So I'm just going to click on invoice, click on complete, show you all how it looks. Of course, you can use default theme. You can use any other theme you want. Eco-friendly, if you want to mark it as paid or if it's completely paid, you can do that and complete the invoice. Okay, let's download it. Okay, so we have this. Go back in there, click on question mark. Now this tells you most of your information. Tells you that you had deposit, whatever is remaining in your trust. You transfer that in your bank first and then come back into uLaw and then transfer in uLaw. Make sure you note down the reference number for the bank transfer again, right? And then you click on complete the transfer. Okay, let's go back in there. Now, quickly show you all how it looks when the client gets the payment into the general account. So you just add in exactly that amount. uLaw will not allow you to even add a cent extra. If I try to do this, we will restrict you to that exact amount. Okay. You know that the client paid you by transfer. Give them another receipt and click apply. Okay. Now let's do a quick statement check here. Let's do a little trust plus general to make sure everything is settled here. You see you got a retainer, then you made a disbursement, then you transferred the remaining amount of 300. So your trust has become 0. Go into general. You had a legal fee raised for 847.50 plus 45.20. That makes it 892.70, of which you received a trust transfer and you also received a client payment from the client directly into your general account. So your general balance is 02. Okay. Now let's say we go into accounts, go into compliance, do the monthly compliance. Let's say I'd like to do a general disbursement journal just for today, and I'd like to do a, see, that UPS charges for the photocopies. I even have the debit card method number. I have the photocopies, entered it in there. We have this fee book that shows exactly how much was the fee. Come back in there. We do the expense book and we download it. Now I'm going to show you all. So the expense book disbursement journal pretty much showed the same because we only had one expense. Now, what is the difference between a disbursement journal and an expense book? Let's look at it quickly. Now, let's say I'm going to go in and add an office expenses. Let's say rent and taxes. Rent for Feb 26. Let's say it was $700 paid to ABC. There's an email transfer. You also have option to print checks. And let's say we have to now download an expense book. You will see one additional transaction, which is, oh, yeah, you will see the rent here. So expense book covers expenses otherwise than disbursements as well. And disbursement journal only covers the disbursements that you have reported as an expense. In this case was photocopies. Okay. So now when I go back, fee book shows again your legal fee and then the disbursements. The $200 is not here because it was directly made out of the trust. Yep. So this is probably what I wanted to show you all. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'll open the floor for any discussions. And Catherine, let me know if you want me to unmute anyone or just, I know your computer doesn't have audio in case you want to dial in, or just let me know if you have any questions, guys. Thank you. Like, you know, if you want me to go over anything specific, like how to add additional parties or how to add more rates. So additional parties are added here, but make sure that they're added under the contacts. You have to ensure that under the respective groups, they're added as a new contact. And then you go into the matter specific and ensure you pull up their name under additional party, whoever you want to add as a respondent, as a joint retainer, whatever it is. You want to add them appropriately. And then you can do that. Questions in the classroom, then the ones who've joined online, any questions, please let us know on the chat window. Thank you. Yeah. So additional parties added in there. Document management is amazing with Google Drive, OneDrive. You can use whichever ones. We support both. I personally use Google Drive. I just love it because I have a workspace. So I have all of them entered in there. I just open the drive, ensure that, I have my file opened in there automatically by uLawPractice. I know that today, if I open Ken, George, I'm just looking at KG file number. I just go down there, make sure that I can, find it out. Yeah. Right here. Whatever I just did, all of this pertains to Ken George. Just going to upload everything in here, all the 10 or 11 documents. Once I upload it into the Google Drive, then I go back into uLaw. Simply click on refresh, and you're going to be able to see it over there. So any questions, anyone? Yes, that's one of the features that we have. We also have DocuSign, but provided you have DocuSign, you can integrate yourself with the DocuSign feature. I already told you that we can synchronize your calendars with Google. You can just synchronize. Just took me a minute. And then I would say sync calendar. Then, whatever is in my calendar will also show up over there. So that's how it works. You can also use the timesheets. You can use, if you have multiple employees, docketing, you can use that as well. You can use revenue by timesheet. Yep. We also have anything else. Analytics. Technically, I would recommend everybody to go over this once a month. Make sure your profits, your expenses, category-wise, everything is aligned, and then, you're able to understand whether you made a profit or loss, how much is your income for this week, this month, right? It's nice to know where you stand, Okay, so does it scan the uploaded documents and transfer information to its system, or do we still need to input? Yes, you still need to input it manually. So once let's say you scan the document and put it into your computer, or it's on your, it's somewhere on your desktop or your, on your email, you drag drop them into your Google Drive. And once you drag drop them into Google Drive, all that you have to do is go back into uLaw, into that specific matter, and make sure you click on refresh, and all the documents will show up there. Yep. Please let me know any questions. Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you all for this opportunity. I look forward to talking to you all soon. Sometime, you start your own practice or you go assisting someone, you know where to reach out. Please do email us for any questions on info@superfluidsoftware.com, or, you can also reach out to support@uLawPractice.com. And we do have great deals on new entrepreneur deals. So please do let us know. Yes, please. I'll email you, Catherine, about the AI webinar. It's AI and LLM, legal tech in LLM. So it's somebody else doing it, probably DAMS, or I'll try to see if I could equip myself by then to help you with that topic. It'll be a good chance for me to showcase a different side of uLaw and probably surprise you all a little bit more. So awesome. Thank you so much and have a wonderful week. Take care.